Chapter 8. "You look very nice," said Roz, standing next to Santi and staring at his reflection in the full-length mirror. "Nice?" said Santi, sounding concerned. "I'm not sure that I should look nice." "Smart then," said Roz quickly. "Really smart. It's a lovely suit." "Smart?" said Santi, horrified. "Smart is even worse than nice. There's no way I want to look smart." Roz rolled her eyes and sighed. "Well, how exactly do you want to look then, Santi? Because I'm running out of words to describe how you look." Santi looked at himself in the mirror. "I don't know. Maybe, what?" said Roz, beginning to lose patience. Maybe sort of cool?" Roz laughed. "Cool? Well, you do look cool in a nice, smart sort of way. But I told you I don't want to look smart. It's not right." "Why did you put on a suit then?" "Because you suggested it. That was before I know you don't want to look smart. Look, Santi, you're going to a school to talk to kids. If you'd feel better wearing jeans and a sweatshirt, then do that." "But I don't want to look scruffy." Roz sighed again. "I'm not suggesting you go to the whole hog and turn up wearing a hoodie. Just wear what you feel comfortable and relaxed in. But that's the problem. I don't feel comfortable or relaxed. I'm really nervous, Roz. More nervous than if I were playing in a cup final." Roz smiled. She'd known all along that it wasn't really the clothes that were troubling her husband. But she couldn't resist teasing him a little about the event scheduled for later that day. "But it's only... what did the head teacher say? Only 250 kids? You used to playing in front of 50,000. Yeah, but that's playing, not talking. And most of those 50,000 are adults, not teenagers." The word emerged as though teenagers were the most dangerous species on the planet. "They won't eat you, Santi," said Roz, laughing gently. "You're just going to talk to them and then they'll ask a few questions." "Questions? What sort of questions? I don't know. How you started in the game? Who your soccer heroes are? That sort of thing, I guess." Santiago's face went pale. "I wish I never suggested it. I wanted to help Enrique, so I just said I'd do it without thinking. I didn't imagine it would really happen." "You're joking, aren't you? They were bound to say yes. Famous soccer player comes to talk to kids. You have the local papers there and everything. Local TV too, most probably." "Oh no," said Santi miserably. Ross put an arm around his shoulders and gave him a hug. "You'll be great. The kids are going to love you, and it's really good of you to do this for Enrique. It's obvious he's struggling with settling in at the school, even though he won't say anything. He'll appreciate you doing this." "Didn't seem like he appreciated it when he left this morning," said Santi. "Why? What did he say?" "He just said, 'Don't embarrass me,' as he went out the door, as if I would." Roz laughed. "He's nervous." She kissed him on the cheek. "Like his big brother. Now you make yourself look cool, and I'll go down and make us a quick lunch." "I don't think I can eat," said Santi unhappily. "I've got a stomach ache, and I feel sick, and I think I got an asthma attack coming on." He sighed as he looked at himself in the mirror and began to take off his suit jacket. Roz smiled as she made her way down the stairs. "Cool," she said quietly. The talk was going far better than Santi had expected, and after an uncertain few minutes at the beginning, he had relaxed and was actually enjoying himself. He was in the school hall, on the stage, with a microphone in his hand, and 250 students staring up at him and hanging on his every word. It helped that almost all of them, boys and girls, were Magpies fans to some degree or another. The head teacher had made a big deal of the introduction and the fact that Santi was Enrique's brother. Enrique was at the end of the row, about halfway down the hall. He turned a vivid shade of crimson when the head asked him to stand up during the introduction, and everyone in the hall turned and looked in his direction. Since then, like Santi, he had relaxed a little, as the talk was going well. Santi had spoken about his love of soccer, the unusual way he had joined Newcastle United, his transfer to Real Madrid, and his Champions League triumph. He'd even brought along his winner's medal and had shown it to gasps of appreciation and a burst of applause. Now the talk was reaching its conclusion. "So finally, I'd just like to say that I know I'm incredibly lucky to make my living playing a game I love, and I'll always be grateful to all the people who've helped me along the way. What I'm looking forward to now is playing in the World Cup, and maybe," he paused and smiled, "maybe beating England in the final." There were a few good-natured jeers at the comment, and Santiago laughed. "Haha, thanks very much for listening to me," he said in closing. The head teacher leaped to his feet and began to applaud vigorously. The kids joined in with the applause and added cheers and whistles of appreciation. After about a minute, the head gestured for the clapping to stop, and the room eventually went silent. "Now," he said, "Mr. Muñez is an extremely busy man, but he has kindly agreed to spend a few minutes answering some questions. So who has the first one?" A forest of hands shot up into the air. The head scanned the room and then pointed to a boy in the front row. "Yes, Luke Thompson, ask your question." The first few questions were exactly the sort of thing Santiago expected and Roz had predicted. Who was Santi's favorite player? When, if ever, would Newcastle win the Premiership? The questions were easy to answer and the banter was friendly and amusing, and Santi grew enough in confidence to pick out further questions himself. He pointed to a boy sitting close to Enrique. "What would you like to know?" The boy was Jake Hodge, the leader of the gang that was doing its best to make Enrique's life a misery. Jake grinned. "How much do you earn a week?" Maybe Santi should have expected a question like that, but he hadn't, and it wasn't something he wanted to go into. Jake was ready with a follow-up. "Are you a multi-millionaire?" Santi looked toward the head teacher, hoping that he would step in, but he had turned away for a moment. Santi had been clearly coping so well and was checking something with a member of the staff. "Enrique reckons you're a millionaire," shouted Jake. Santi pulled his thoughts together and came up with an answer. "Like I said earlier, I'm very lucky to make my living playing a game I love, and it is a good living, yes." "Yes, but is it right that you used to drive a Lamborghini?" shouted Jake's mate, Jordan Cole, joining in. "What you got now, a Ferrari? Don't you think those sort of cars waste too much fuel? Our teachers keep telling us people should drive greener cars, not waste gas on guzzlers. Is it one law for you lot and another for everyone else?" Nearby, Enrique was sinking lower and lower into his chair. A lot of kids were laughing now, encouraging Jake and his mates to continue with the grilling. "No, that's not right," said Santi, much louder than he intended. The head teacher turned at the sound and noticed immediately that the mood in the hall had changed drastically. He stood up. "Right, that's all we have time for," he said firmly. "It just remains for us all that we thank Mr. Muñez once again for giving us all such an interesting and enlightening talk." Santiago breathed a sigh of relief and wiped the back of one hand across his forehead. He was sweating. And out in the hall, Enrique was bitterly regretting ever having thought that this would be a good idea. End of chapter 8.